Today's episode is very personal to me. In the spring of 2000, on a student visa from South Africa, and desperate to prove myself and earn a place in Silicon Valley, I joined a fledgling startup called PayPal. It turned out to be a life-changing crucible moment, but it wasn't an obvious choice at the time. PayPal, as it's known today, a behemoth with a universal name and logo, one of the highest valued digital payments companies in the world, is nothing like the company I joined. On my first day, I walked into a rinky-dink office next to the Palo Alto dump. When I settled into my desk and switched on one of those thick 1990s-style desktops, the smell of garbage wafted through the air. PayPal is also famous for the people who came out of it. Max Levchin, who you'll hear from today, Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, Peter Thiel, Steve Chen, Chad Hurley. The list goes on and on. They're often referred to as the PayPal Mafia because they went on to found some of the most significant companies of our time. But back then, we were just a group of unknown underdogs working day and night to keep our company alive. PayPal's start was a roller coaster. It was scary. Again and again, we thought the company was going to die. 3 defining crucible moments in PayPal's early history played out nearly simultaneously. Just as we had wrestled one under control, another challenge reared its head. In this episode, we'll look at how a 50-50 merger nearly tore PayPal apart, how pressure to stabilize the business led to innovative fraud-fighting measures still in use today, and how a series of acquisition offers tested our team's resilience and our resolve to fight and bet on ourselves. You know the PayPal of today. Let's get into the early days that defined it.
My name is Jimmy Stoney. I'm the author of The Founders, The Story of PayPal and the Entrepreneurs Who Shaped Silicon Valley. When PayPal was in its infancy, it was 2 companies. One company was called X.com, and it was founded by a then late 20-something named Elon Musk. The other component of what became what we know as PayPal was called Confinity, and it was co-founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin.
My name is Max Levchin. I co-founded PayPal and was its chief technical officer. The company was really started around kind of this broad idea of cryptography coming to devices with small screens. Of course, it's mid-90s or late 90s, and so things like iPhone don't exist yet, but Palm Pilots do, and so you have this maybe possible interesting area of opportunity where things like documents and payments will have to be secured. My background was in cryptography, and so I thought of starting a company in the space, met this guy, Peter Thiel. We hit it off and co-founded a company that became known as Confinity. As we sort of meandered through the desert of bad business ideas, we'd realized that nobody actually cared yet about encrypting documents on devices that could barely generate a random number. And so we sort of chiseled away at it and eventually turned to this idea of payments initially on your mobile device, but then over time, through sort of a chance migration to the web, basically payments for everyone.
They create an email money framework or a process that we all know as PayPal today.
Unfortunately for Max and Peter, they weren't the only ones working on digitizing payments over the internet.
Elon Musk's thesis was, if in a digital age, money really isn't real, why does it cost me anything to move money around? If I have an insurance policy and a mortgage and a bank and a brokerage, why can't that all just live in one place? And for him, that one place was X.com.
We weren't aware of the presence of Confinity when we made the first investment in X.com. I'm Michael Moritz.
Michael was the Sequoia partner who joined the board of X.com.
When we met Elon, we didn't have any background with him. We had not been investors in the first company that he had started, Zip2. So he was fresh and new. And it was obvious that he was one of these characters who was prepared to tilt at windmills, which is the sort of sensibility I think you needed when you were going to take on the banking establishment.
Here's what leads to the rivalry between these two companies. Both of them have an email money mechanism, and both of them take off on this corner of the internet called eBay. So eBay, it's recently gone public. It's an auction website. There's all these buyers and sellers. They could unite somebody that wants to sell a Beanie Baby with somebody that wants to buy a Beanie Baby. And so you have this flea market, but what the flea market hadn't figured out was how to do the payment part of the transaction.
And eBay didn't have a good integrated payment solution at that time. And so despite the fact that X.com had this broader remit and vision of financial products, it was really their person-to-person payments product that was exploding in use. And similarly with PayPal, it was their email product, again, used by eBay merchants, that was exploding in use. And the two companies really had neck and neck market share on eBay at the time.
They both notice that eBay buyers and sellers are just totally gaga. They're obsessed because it's an instantaneous money transfer. They don't have to do things like mail checks or send cash in an envelope or send a money order through Western Union. They can just actually send email money.